It's back up and running.
All right.
It's not easy being green.
It's true. I wore this on purpose. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Committee of the Whole meeting. So, Commissioners, before we get started with our agenda items today, I have one proclamation that I would like to read, and then I'm going to ask Stacy Stout to come up and do a presentation for us about the Neighborhood Summit. And then we will get to our agenda items. At the end of our agenda at COW, we'll have an introduction of our preliminary fiscal plan, but then we have our budget session later on today. And then right after Committee of the Whole, I'm going to ask us to go into executive session for a legal opinion. Okay, so that's our morning. So I'll start. I'll come over here. Do I see Joe Sulak? Is Joe here?
Dan Coy.
Hello. You couldn't make it. Okay. Well, that's okay. So we're going to start off our day, this beautiful Tuesday, talking about trees. So I have a proclamation to read for our Urban Forestry Department to declare Arbor Day. And before I read this proclamation, I just want to remind everyone this is a busy week. Our whole community will be talking about trees. We'll be out in our public schools giving out hundreds and hundreds of saplings to children in our community. Friday we have a tree giveaway over on the west side, and then on Saturday we'll be planting hundreds of trees with hundreds of volunteers over on the west side as part of the Mayor's Greening Initiative. So I want to thank Friends of Grand Rapids Parks. They're not here today, but they've been helping a lot to organize this, as well as our Parks Department and Forestry Department. So I just want to thank everyone who is helping make this a success. So with that, this proclamation, whereas our urban forest is a vital community asset that benefits all citizens, and whereas our urban forest provides important ecosystem and green infrastructure services, and therefore plays a critical role in achieving the city's sustainability, green Grand Rapids, and urban forest plans. And whereas our urban forest enhances the quality of life and attractiveness of our city, providing a competitive edge in retaining and attracting both residents and businesses. And whereas our urban forest provides important economic benefits, including reducing energy costs, increasing property values, reducing demand for stormwater management, and strengthening the economic vitality of our business and commercial districts. And whereas our urban forest provides vital environmental benefits, including improving our air quality and water quality, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing wildlife habitat. And whereas our urban forest provides important physical and psychological health benefits, including reducing stress, which we all probably need, respiratory illness, and symptoms of attention deficit. Therefore, I, Rosalind Bliss, Mayor of our amazing city, do hereby proclaim April 28th as Arbor Day in Grand Rapids, and I urge all of our citizens to support the efforts to protect trees and nurture our urban forest.
Yeah, I would just like to extend my thanks to Mayor Bliss and the Commission for supporting Arbor Day, and would like to formally invite everyone here out Friday, 6 to 7, pick up a free tree at Sullivan Field. Thank you, Bartlett, for the donation. And then also Saturday, 9 a.m., you can come help plant a tree in and around the neighborhood around Sullivan Field. That's 9 to 12, and then at 12, the party begins. We're going to have food trucks. Brewery Vivant is going to be there. It's going to be a great time. I hear the weather is going to be awesome, so I expect to see everybody here out there.
Right. Thank you for that plug. Appreciate that. Thank you. And I will give one more shout out to our colleague, Commissioner Kelly, who has served for several years on the Urban Forest Committee. So thank you, Commissioner Kelly. Thanks. All right. Welcome, Miss Stacy Stout. She's going to give us an update and a presentation on our Neighborhood Summit from this, it was a month ago now.
Yes.
Time goes by so quickly. I know many of us were there that day. It was absolutely amazing. It was such a great community day, and so we're eager to get an update.
All right. And true to the summit leadership style, we have a shared leadership model. So I'm really excited to share the podium with a few of our team leaders today. Megan Cruz from Creston Neighborhood Association, Erica Soto, local consultant, and Elizabeth Rogers-Drouillard from the Rapidian. So I'm going to hand it over to Megan, and I'll be your tech person.
Good morning. I'm Megan Cruz. I'm the Executive Director of the Creston Neighborhood Association and a member of the leadership team. The theme for this year's Neighborhood Summit was Beyond a Seat at the Table, which speaks to going beyond just having diverse representation at tables or advisory committees, but having shared decision-making and equitable voices at those tables. It also speaks to a value of beyond jobs, but also to wealth creation. The purpose of the summit is to increase resident awareness, skills, and networks for improved, sustained change for stronger neighborhoods to result in a stronger city. And our values, which emerged out of the 2016 summit, are resident voice and racial equity. This year was the 4th annual Grand Rapids Neighborhood Summit, and it started as a way to bring residents and stakeholders together to learn and build relationships and strategize how to strengthen our neighborhoods so that together we can create more equity, strong neighborhoods, strong city. And you might have seen those values embodied in resident voice. Our workshops were presented almost entirely by Grand Rapids residents, and also in the use of the vendors that we had for the day. Bear All for shirts, Daddy's Dough for our afternoon snack, Public Thread for the great bags. Lots of really intentional empowerment and representation. We have a video for you from the video, and we want to thank Alex Wieringa and Serena Johnson for creating this video for us.
Your monitors are better now.
Yeah, they are. They're not fuzzy. Good job.
No, you need to come here. Any resident, current, or even those perhaps thinking about moving to Grand Rapids, come here. I love it too because they have childcare for my 3 kids, and so the kids have had a summit as well, a neighborhood summit, and it's just great resources here. And again, some of the solutions to what we need in our community are right here.
Well, I mean, this is an opportunity for community to come together, right? And it really creates a sense of accountability, that it's not just the responsibility of the school district or teachers to ensure the success of their students. It also includes parents, students, and the general community as well, to create a sense of belonging where everyone is vested in the success of our future leaders.
I think Grand Rapids Neighborhood Summit is like the best conference for like urban practitioners in Grand Rapids, and I'm always blown away. That's what they put on for free. But it's just all the workshops are so practical, and like I can go back to the church as a community impact director and really put things in practice.
bigger and better every year. And I appreciate that they're kind of like stretching out the people that they're bringing in to engage in the community.
So I feel like the networking and the learning that takes place here is extremely important as a GR resident, but then also someone who works with community in community. So I find it really energizing to be able to learn from other practitioners and residents and getting voices and other agencies. So I think it's a reason to mark it in the calendar and make sure you're there.
If you take the initiative to be active in your community and be bold and to create new initiatives for your community, you'll start to see people doing the same thing. And you'll start to see people giving you support. They just need someone to show them to do it, show them how.
Even though she said, I can't believe what they do for free, do know that this is not free. We do put a lot of resources into it. And if you notice in the video, that folks that live in Grand Rapids, they actually got a Grand Rapids resident ribbon to really honor the residents of this place. So we kind of switched up typical conference format to really honor Grand Rapids residents. So the next thing that you'll notice is our new logo. We worked really hard on this to really speaks to a little bit about equity, which is one of our values, working together as a community. We really like the image where it says support your neighbors, where it's neighbors lifting up other neighbors. It's colorful, fun, inviting, like the summit, people-centric, resident-centric, strength and unity, and it just means so much more the more you work with it. And so we're really excited for that. Next, real quick, we're just going to go by the numbers because you got the stories in the video. Now we're just going to give you some data. And so we're excited to welcome my photographer, Elizabeth Rogers-Drury, to the podium. I'll be your time.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mayor. Summit by the numbers, we had 85% of attendees are Grand Rapids residents, which is fantastic. It's something that we work hard on every year. Start Garden was there this year, and 23 people pitched ideas to Start Garden. There was a well-balanced numbers between the three wards. And we had increased diversity this year, but there's always room for growth. It's a constant thing that we're working on at Summit. There were also 55 children in the Kids Summit this year, 31 volunteers, and 31 workshops. As far as a breakdown of some of the numbers, we had a great age range, as young as 17 all the way up to 73, and that's also something that we're continuing to work on, providing more tracks for younger people and also being diverse in as many ways as possible. We are also working on increasing response rate. A lot of people don't fill out like what their ethnicity or race is. So these are the numbers that we have. Sorry. And then what is super exciting is that people that filled out the evaluations on a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being meaning strongly agree, is that it got a 4.72 for being well organized, it got a 4.64 for meeting people's expectations, and a 4.79 for recommending Summit to others. And huge themes in the comments were the diversity, people appreciating that we work hard on being diverse in various ways, and then also the vibe or the energy of Summit, which can be hard to quantify for people, but something that they feel, and it's a repeated comment. The welcoming environment. Also the Kids Summit, like the gentleman in the video is saying, he's able to come because there's childcare. That's one of our inclusion outreaches, right, is wanting to also include parents and not just people that don't have kids. They also really liked meeting new people and the intentionality behind that, and strengthening relationships and making new relationships. One of the comments, like I touched on before, was very diverse. I'm hardly ever in such a diverse setting and wish it happened all the time. This is a wonderful thing for a Grand Rapids resident to say, and we hope that we can continue to provide that at Summit. Someone else said, I liked that it gave me lots of ideas and resources I can use for my family, which is exactly what we want. We want neighbors to take what they're learning at Summit, go home, go to their own neighborhoods, their own blocks, and institute what they learn. And then again, Kids Summit was a great option because it enabled me to attend. Kids Summit was not originally part of Summit, and it's something that we've done for a couple years now, and it's been hugely valued by people in our community. These are only 4 of the numerous quotes, but they represent the themes of what the neighbors loved.
And you heard from Dr. Weaver. What's cool about the keynote, now we require them to go into community the day before to increase access to the community to the information the keynote brings. And so they had a community reception Friday night. She did a keynote, and then I'm like, well, while you're in town, you should do a workshop. So she also did a really, really popular workshop as well. From her workshop, people organically are organizing to hold each other accountable for their business plans and their vision boards and things of that nature. So that was something that organic that came out of her workshop. We had, like I said, 31 workshops. Many of our staff, I actually want to do a small shout out to the staff that participated on this Saturday. We had a lot of staff in attendance, but in addition, we had staff present. Lou Canfield, Suzanne Schultz, Mike Lund, Jenny Smith, Shannon Harris, Josh Naramore, Mayor Bliss, Asante Kane, and Jordan Eatman. So, and then so many more staff were there, so we appreciate all of the support in so many ways. And now I will give it to Etika quickly to talk about the famous Kids Summit.
Good morning, Mayor Bliss and Commissioners. Good morning, everyone. I had the exciting and unique honor of running the Kids Summit again for the 2nd year. And one thing that I really wanted to emphasize again was leadership and making sure that in every aspect of the day, the children are being redirected of who they are and why their leadership matters. And so we had Childcare, which was for children ages 2 to 4. And as you heard from the video, we had a lot of families that were very thankful that they could drop off their little ones at the 2 to 4-year-old care. And then the ones who had older children, ages 5 to 12, we had a day that started with a wonderful book read by Mayor Bliss. And it was the first time a lot of the children had ever met the mayor before. So just opening their eyes and having that experience for them right from the beginning was super, super exciting for them. We started with a book called Good People Are Everywhere. And the last question of the book is something along the lines of, what do you do, or how are you good in the community? What do you do to be good to others? And so just starting the day with that, and I'll go a little quicker. We also partnered with ELNC. We wanted to be intentional to have a diverse partner in being able to work for childcare, and they were amazing, and they're so open to even open the childcare for next year to even younger guys, so we're excited about that. More exciting things coming. We also want to give a big thank you to the Grand Rapids Symphony, who actually donated tickets for the children to go see Green Eggs and Ham, and so they were exposed to the arts, and it was quite an adventure to walk over from Summit to the Symphony, but the children also had a book that was signed by each of the musicians from the symphony, and they were able to bring the books and read along while we were enjoying the opera as well. So that was a pretty unique experience for the children. We also partnered with the Grand Rapids Children's Museum and the Grand Rapids Public Museum. They had wonderful activities for the children around leadership. For example, the Children's Museum, they had all the kids sit down and brainstorm and building and how to work together and how to come to a result. And maybe this idea wasn't the best for the team, but let's us work together, decide on a great idea, and make that idea be the one that speaks for the group. So we had a lot of team building, a lot of just unintentional kids not even realizing how much support they had to really strengthen their leadership throughout the day. Throughout lunch, we had a magician just for entertainment, and they had a wonderful time as well. So as Kids Summit continues to grow and as we continue to receive support, especially from foundations like the Wege Foundation and the West Side Collaborative, who were able to donate generously so that Kids Summit can happen this year too. And I really hope that we can continue to have more amazing partnerships and continue to grow Kids Summit for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. As you can see, this is just a sample of the amazing team. We'll wrap it up. We have a lot of goals for next year. We're going to start meeting next month, actually, May 9th, to start for next year. So it's a year-round process. We took 1 month off, which I don't know if it's enough. I'm still exhausted, but it's cool. We're going to keep going. So we're going to streamline registration. Again, the digital divide is real, and so how do we get folks that maybe aren't on our Facebook page to get registered? And other goals. And I would just like the team leaders to please stand. Chris, come on up. Chris Arnold, Jordan Eatman, Megan Cruz, Rachel Lee, Kyle Prey, Jamil Robinson, Elizabeth Rogers-Druard, Erica Soto, myself, Lotaro Trailer, Tempest Warfield, and Lori. They are just a dynamite team. So please, thank you so much. And that's all. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions?
Big thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all. I don't know how you're going to top it next year because this year was so amazing, but I have great faith that you will.
Thank you.
Great venue.
All right, commissioners. I should also, before we get started on our formal agenda, I should welcome our new city clerk, Joel Hundorf. So, yes, welcome. So we'll be swearing in Joel tonight at 6:30 before our committee of the whole, or our evening meeting, but he'll be with us today. Welcome to your very first long city commission day.
Good second day of work.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, everyone. So he started yesterday. We're glad to have you.
6:36.
All right, so next that will take us to our first resolution before us today. That's a resolution approving the request from Shell Place LLC for a new Class C redevelopment liquor license located at 500 Leonard Street Northwest.
So moved. Support.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so on August 31st, 2017, we received an application from Shell Place doing business as Turnstiles. They are submitting an application for a redevelopment liquor license at 500 Leonard Street Northwest. The Planning Commission approved the item at their meeting on March 15th, 2018, and the West Side Corridor Improvement District gave their approval at their meeting held on April 6, 2018. Also has been reviewed by all the internal departments and is being recommended for approval.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, any questions? All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next up will take us to a resolution approving a brownfield plan amendment for 900 Granville Property LLC for a project located at 900 Granville Avenue and 919 Caulfield Avenue Southwest.
So moved. Support.
All right.
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good morning.
Attached in your agenda packet this morning is a resolution approving a brownfield plan amendment filed by 900 Granville Property LLC to facilitate grant funding of an environmental site assessment project proposed at 900 Granville Avenue Southwest and 919 Caulfield Avenue Southwest, an adjacent property. The developer is proposing to conduct pre-renovation asbestos and lead-based paint surveys and do care activities at the existing two-story, 33,000 square foot structure. Total costs for these brownfield eligible activities are estimated at $26,000. 75% of the costs incurred would be eligible for grant funding under the local site remediation revolving fund program. At this time, capture of tax increment revenues for reimbursement of other brownfield eligible activities is not proposed. However, if the developer proceeds with renovation of the property, the plan amendment may be revised to include tax capture for reimbursement of additional eligible brownfield activities. The Brownfield Redevelopment Authority approved and recommended the plan amendment on March 21st, and a public hearing for the plan amendment was held before this body on April 10. Staff recommend approval of the plan amendment, and I would be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, commissioners, any questions?
I drove by the site after we approved this a couple weeks ago, and it's going to be pretty awesome. It's a great location for a project.
Agreed.
Agreed. All right. Seeing no questions, I'll call the question then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for your work on this. Next, that will take us to a resolution approving amendments to City Commission Policy 600-04 on education reimbursement.
So moved.
All right. Welcome.
Mayor,
You want to tell us
Commissioners.
about this, Frank?
Good morning. Yes, I want to do some, language changes to the, as you mentioned, Policy 600-04, the education reimbursement. And so what we're going to do, what I'd like to see, the changes done, I'll go one by one, and they don't coincide with the previous policies, so I'll just go from there. Modify language to allow department heads to submit requests for special budget allowance for the city manager to the city manager or their designee. Modify language to allow employees and members of city commission to submit reimbursement requests without the approval of department head. And also remove language stating the city will pay cost of books or materials. Remove guideline permitting reimbursement to be paid directly to an approved institution of learning. The city or member of the city commission shall be direct recipient of a reimbursement. Then modify language to allow employees to seek authorization from the city manager or the management designee to take courses during a scheduled work shift under extenuating circumstances. Some of the policy additions are as follows. An employer or member of the city commission who fails to satisfactorily complete their course shall forfeit rights to reimburse of the same course in the future. An employee or member of city commission who is planning to make changes to their class schedule after submitting their reimbursement request must notify Human Resources Department of their changes or risk denial of future reimbursement requests. The Human Resource Department will begin accepting electronic reimbursement requests, applications at 8 a.m. or on a specified date in April of each year. Application will be processed in the order they are received. 9, an employer or member of the city commission who is denied reimbursement due to lack of funding will be added to a waiting list in the order their application was originally received, and any available funds will be allocated accordingly. There shall be no reimbursement for degree upon a master's level, and an employee shall not receive reimbursement toward a second bachelor's or master's degree if the city has already reimbursed the employee towards their first bachelor's or master's degree. If an employee separates from the city of employment for any reason within 1 year of date of receiving reimbursement, an amount will be withheld from the final paycheck according to the following schedule. And so the date of separation would be up to 3 months from receiving reimbursement. We would seek 100% reimbursement for those classes. 4 to 6 months, we would seek 75% withheld from their final paycheck, and 7 to 9 months, 50%, and then 10 to 12, 25%. We'd like the commission to make a motion on this today and to resolve this today.
All right. Commissioners, questions? Commissioner?
Yes. Frank, once again, you are jumping ahead and doing good work here. I think this is a good policy.
I have some help.
Yeah. Okay.
We all have help. We know how that goes.
That's our team, us too.
Well, as we are considering our succession planning and moving into the future, there was a conversation that we had at Urban Forestry a week and a half ago about educational opportunities, and it was actually brought up by Ingrid, who is our chairperson, in that if we are going to meet the needs of the city, whether it's in forestry or maybe, we've got this problem with getting enough electricians, for example, it might be worthwhile to have departments evaluate those needs.
Okay.
And then promote with their employees, and of course this is an incentive to fill in those gaps. I'll give you an example with forestry. There are, we started out, and this would have been when the mayor first started, I think, without any foresters at all. In fact, we pretty much had tree cutters, and now we have a couple of foresters, and we have arborists on staff, so that, and we're moving in the direction of, just like we did with streets, with our asset management of our urban forest. So in order to do that and to attract people in those fields, it would be helpful if we also provided those who are maybe starting out as tree cutters and arborists to stay with us by providing opportunity. So I would encourage you to have a conversation, maybe starting with Joe Sulak and Dan Coy. And I think that'll give you insights into what other departments' needs might be in order to retain good employees and move people up in that pipeline to fill needs in the city.
Thank you. That's our hope. That's what we like to see. So that's one of the things that why we're kind of changing this, but also with the with what we're doing as far as the I can't think of what I'm talking right now, but what we're doing as far as personal improvement, as far as professional development, I should say, we're working on that as well.
Well, and I think this adds to our benefits in the city too, at a time when we really want to take a close look at that so that we're competitive with private industry and other government agencies as well.
Yeah. All right, Commissioner Leonard.
Great job, Frank, presenting this morning. I have a couple questions.
Sure.
The first one is tied to number 3. Help me to understand why we wouldn't pay for the cost of books and materials. What's the rationale
why
behind
do we don't want
that?
that on cost of books? Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Okay.
If I'm reading that correctly, we're saying that we wouldn't pay the cost of books?
Yes, we would
Any
not.
longer?
We haven't. It hasn't really come up that I know. I took this program over last May actually. It, as far as I know, hasn't come up to my knowledge, to me anyways. And
So people aren't utilizing it, so
Yes.
it just seemed.
basically, people are utilizing just for the tuition
Just the
reimbursement and not the
classes,
books, because all the research I have done, is along with Ann, we find that people or companies, either government entities or private companies, do not pay for books.
Okay. And then the other one was tied to reimbursements going to only the recipients. I'm not sure what number that was now. And I was just curious to know.
Oh, number 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there room for that to be flexible too in the event that an employee may be interested in having the dollars to go directly to the institution?
Again, I haven't run into that yet, but what we would like to do, Commissioner, is kind of streamline it, so we're just working with the employee.
Okay.
Instead of being the middle person, if you will. We just like to get that reimbursed directly to the employee.
Okay.
Just to kind of streamline the things that we're working with.
Okay, thank you.
Great, good questions. Here.
If there are no more commission questions to supplement what Commissioner Kelly was talking about, in the budget that's coming up, HR requested additional dollars for tuition reimbursement and I approved those, so they're in the budget recommendation. And also, in terms of growing our own, HR has done a lot of work in terms of exactly what you're talking about. How do we grow your own as an external strategy to bring people in, but it's also taking care of our own people and growing them up as well. And so one of the things in the transformation plan that you'll see a value stream in there when you get that is that we're going to work to have professional development plans for eventually all of our 1,500 people. And so we start out at 20% a year, try to give Frank something to do and something more to do. And we'll work to have development plans, so if someone is in forestry and wants to become an arborist,
Right.
there's a path for that to happen.
Great. Well, and thank you, Mary Beth, for your work on this.
All right, commissioners, any other questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Thanks for your work on this.
Thank you.
All right, commissioners, next that will take us to our introduction of the 2019-2023 preliminary fiscal plan. This will be a brief presentation because we will go into budget session this afternoon, actually in less than an hour. So,
Well, I'm very happy.
I'm not sure, but that's okay.
Because I have
It was
to.
on the agenda.
Yeah, because I have to, so it's a requirement. This is one of the things that the manager does, is present the budget. And so this is the official presentation, so I feel like I should hand it to you, Commissioner Linear. This is the introduction. So I just want to give a brief summary of what the budget includes, and then we'll start our full review coming up later today. So fiscal year 2018 was a very busy year for us. We got a lot done. We did a lot of work on collaboration, police and community relations. We kept investing in vital streets. We did a lot of listening during the year. And we had good financial performance. And all that rolled up to what I presented to you today as your preliminary fiscal plan. A very key thing about this process was the work that we did on priorities. And I want to commend all of you for the work you did there and what it did to help shape this plan. And so these items that you see listed here represent your top 8 priorities. And when we get into the discussion today, you'll see how these priorities shape the recommendations. But they were really important for this fiscal plan. They also are important for the transformation plan. You had some really good ideas about capital priorities as well. And when we get to talk about capital on May 22nd, you'll see how your information about priorities was woven into those recommendations. So later today, we'll introduce phase 4 of the transformation plan. And that plan will include some things that weren't done in phase 3 that are moving forward, but also ideas that you've had that came out of your priority setting, and also staff ideas. And we've done a good job, I think, of reducing the number of targets, value streams that we're trying to accomplish. We had, I think, 171 or so in phase 3. We're down closer to 100 this time, so a more manageable number. And I think it reflects your priority. But the good news is you'll get it today. You'll get to work on it for several weeks, and then we'll talk about it again during one of your budget review sessions. So what does this fiscal plan include? So I think what it should show, is that our stewardship continues to be very effective. Your work as stewards of this community is very impressive. And so we've had good operating results again. We've had 17 was good, 18 was good, and then fiscal 19 looks like it'll be good too. So we'll have net positive earnings in fiscal 19. But this fiscal plan also shows, like last year's did, that we have work to do in the out years. So the next 4 years after 19 start to show growing net operating losses, and we'll work through our transformation plan to address those. So that's really what the transformation plan is about, is continue to generate margin so we can continue to do our mission. So here's a 5x5, our overall budget for the city. The all-in appropriation for everything that we do is about $586 million. What you see here is representation of the general fund, and you can see that in fiscal 19 we intend to show some net operating revenue of about $300,000, just under $300,000, and you can see additional some deficits growing as we move out into the out years. The one thing I will say is that there was a late adjustment to the budget that came in after we had published, and that has to do with district court. So these numbers will actually be better as we move forward, thanks to the work the court did. So, and we'll talk about that when we talk about district court and when we talk more about the budget. So this year we used a unique tool. It was a racial equity lens budget tool. And in your budget book, attachment E has the work that we did that shows all the projects that people came up with. And you're not supposed to read this is representation. But what the work that departments did, I think, was really kind of groundbreaking for us in terms of looking at how we can make a difference. And I think it really spread the work into the departments and got them thinking in a positive way. And we'll talk about how we're going to use that. You'll see that some of the projects were very similar, and so we can group those, and departments can work together to bring them forward. And I think we'll see some real progress that way. So staffing recommendations this year, you can see a net of 4. We were successful in limiting growth in staff, And that was my goal as I started out. I told staff that I hope to have 0. I didn't quite get there. But these are good recommendations and things that we need to do. And each of these came with really strong recommendations for why they're here. So 4 is an important thing. It's a low number, and I think it's each of these positions I'm willing to talk to you about and will as we go through budget review. So that brings our total staffing to 1,592 positions, so still under the 1,600 mark. So here's our review schedule, and it starts today, and you'll hear much more from me about what's in the recommendation today, but we'll also talk today about a little bit about the REH tool, the racial equity tool. We'll talk about the transformation plan, and you'll have a financial review from our CFO, Jeff Dodd. And that'll get us started and set the base. We'll take a week off for May 1st, and then May 8th we'll get at it with what you see there listed as topics. So what I hope to do through this process is do the same thing we did during priority setting, which is listen deeply. This is now, I've given you my recommendations, and now it's your time to talk to us. And to make this, just like we made the transformation plan your own, this is now your time to make this budget your own. And we'll work through that together. So I'm very pleased to be at this point. You can't believe how pleased we all are to be at this point. And we're also happy to begin work later today, and really looking forward to a great budget review. And I want to let people know that the budget is up on our website now, so available for everybody to see. And I'm very pleased to be at this point. I could take a few questions now, or we could wait until today, later, which I think might be a better spot.
I think we can hold the bulk of our questions till we're in budget session this afternoon.
Great.
My only question about the schedule is that if some of us want some of the topics adjusted, can we potentially change the dates?
Depending on availability of staff, because we had to move some things around to get staff in the right spot too.
Okay.
So yeah, let us know what you'd like to do, and we can see what we can do.
Okay. I just think some of these topics are, we may want to move up because we may need a little more time with them. So you and I can talk. All right. All right, commissioners, anything else? All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, commissioners, next I'm going to ask for a motion to go into executive session for a legal opinion.
Moved.
So moved.
All right, and this is a voice call, so Commissioner Hart?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Lanier? Yes. O'Connor?
Yes.
And Jones?
Yes.
All right, and yes for me. So commissioners, we're going to head down to the law department on the 6th floor, and I will plan to meet you down there immediately.